Hi, I'm Ginny Robertson, host of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, where I talk with real women who are living their lives on purpose and bringing their unique gifts to the planet. I'm also the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of the On Purpose Woman global community. Today, I'm talking with the soul story writer, Mary E. Knippel, about how to discover your transformation story. Welcome, Mary. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. I just love talking about stories.
You do. You love talking about anything that has to do with writing, don't you?
Pretty much.
Before we delve into this really interesting topic, I want to tell our viewers a little bit about you. Mary E. Knippel, the soul story writer, best-selling author, inspirational speaker, writing mentor, and retreat leader, helps transformational leaders connect to their soul's calling and articulate it into the written word. Working together as a team, Mary helps you craft and package your vision into professional credibility assets from books to blogs to grow your business, attract clients, and leave a legacy beyond this lifetime. You can visit her website at yourwritingmentor.com, which is also in the text of this video. So, Mary, today we're going to be talking about how to discover our transformation story. So, what is a transformation story?
We have so many life experiences that have given us wisdom and changed us in ways that may be subtle and may be, transformational, that it changes the whole trajectory of who we are and what we do and in the world and how we show up with our gifts. And believe it or not, sometimes those transformational stories are a gift, and that it takes us a while to figure out, oh, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me.
So healing can happen when you start to write your transformational story, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Secret Artist is my memoir where I'm chronicling how I used writing as one of my major healing tools on my road to recovery from, my first two breast cancer experiences. And now that I had the third one last year, it's like, what's the words of wisdom that are going to come from that gift? Because I do see it as opening doors to a new way of thinking about my well-being and who I am in the world.
Mm-hmm. It's really fortunate that you are in a position in your life that you can actually recognize it as such, as a gift. And that's also what you help women do with their writing, correct?
Absolutely, because I encounter women who say, I don't think I have a story, and who would want to hear from me anyway? And I have this opinion that everybody has a unique story that's theirs alone, because you have had an experience that changed you and brought you wisdom, and you're the only one who knows that story from the inside out. You're the only one that can articulate it and what it meant to you. And I also believe that someone needs to hear your story and is waiting for that story so that they can have the life that they're designed to have, because we all hold a piece of somebody else's story.
Oh, somebody will resonate. It may be exactly what they need to start their own journey, right?
Absolutely.
So why do you think so many women believe that they don't have anything to say, or that even if they did, who would want to hear it?
So often we've been told that your story doesn't matter, that nobody wants to hear from you. Just be quiet, do what you do best, be invisible.
Be a good girl.
Be the support system for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for you to be doing this. And so many women think, well, what I have to share is so ordinary. And that is what makes you extraordinary, because it's yours and it's your experience. And yes, things can be similar. I mean, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And now I'm putting a face on that statistic and say, this has happened to me 3 times. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you, I am loving my life. And I found a way to not only cope with it and survive, I am thriving and using what I learned to help other women stand in their story with confidence.
I also wonder if family conditioning stops women from talking about those things they're not supposed to talk about. I mean, just growing up in my family, you never talked. I remember overhearing when I was a little kid, 5 or 6, my parents were talking about money, and I heard how much money my father made. And my mother saw me standing there, don't you dare repeat that to anybody. She made it seem like such a terrible thing that people know how much money you make. But there's also those deeper issues, that have brought shame and family estrangement and all. Do you find it takes a lot for some women to start to be brave enough really to share those words?
Oh, yes. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to get it out of my head and onto the page, and then I'm done with it. That was enough healing.
Mhm.
And that's great. That's a first step. And just being able to articulate these are the details of me, and not feeling shame and guilt around having those words on the page. And it's another thing to put the whole picture together and recognize that you're entitled to a perspective that's yours, because depending on where you are in the family order, you're the youngest child is going to have a whole different perspective on family life than the older ones are, who were doing something that was totally different.
Yeah.
And so it's family dynamics of course, is going to have influence on your story. And sometimes it takes a lot of courage for you to say, this is me, and it's important to me that I'm vocal and I share this. And other times it's not enough for you to get it out of your body. I mean, in the physical act of writing it down, taking a pen and writing it down, and having that, and therapist will give you that direction, that you get it out of your body and onto the page, and go burn it, rip it up, say, okay, I'm done with it. And another way that you may feel compelled that this is important, that women know that you can get past what it is that's stopping you right now.
Well, that
I
is
mean,
so
I
important.
wasn't encouraged to be a writer because that wasn't realistic for a farm girl from Minnesota.
Nobody
And
makes a living writing, right?
yeah, who can make a living writing? Regardless of the fact that you love to do it, and you've seen me doing it since I was 11 years old. and so when you're persistent and consistent in, this gives me joy, and maybe I'm not going to be the New York Times bestseller, and maybe I'm not going to be, toured around to Europe, but I love this, and I know I can make a difference with other women being able to stand in their story as well. And
Mhm.
I'm the catalyst. Yes, I hear other people's stories that they're not ready to share, and I kind of draw it out of them, because we just have a conversation and all of a sudden they're going, I've never talked about this before, or nobody ever asked me those kind of questions before. And that always gives me goosebumps, because I know that we're getting to the heart and soul of what it is that they're longing to share. And that's the way I roll.
Yeah, it is the way you roll. It's one of the things I love about you. I was just thinking, I didn't know I was going to say this today, but I was just thinking about being part of a book a number of years ago. I had a chapter in a book, and I read the chapter at like an open mic night. There were people, and it was people like, I knew some of them, I didn't know some of them. There were singers and there were musicians and there were people doing, spoken word stuff. And I read my chapter, and there was a piece in my chapter where I talked about how, as I was getting ready to walk down the aisle for my first wedding, my mother, I'm getting ready to seat my mother, and she reaches in, she hugs me, and she whispers in my ear, honey, you're getting a wonderful man. If anything goes wrong with this marriage, it will certainly be your fault. And when I read that part out loud, the audience was like, and I was surprised that they reacted that way, because I had become so, like, I had decided it was not a big deal
Mhm.
really big deal. It informed a lot of my decisions after that, if you can imagine. But I was like, I had to stop for a minute. Like, they acted like this is the most horrible thing somebody can do to you. And it was really helpful for me to see it in their eyes, because I had been playing it down and not recognizing how I stayed in the marriage way too long because of those words. It was very unconscious, you know. And so I imagine when a woman starts to write her story with you, those kind of things can happen where they go, "Oh, that's why I've been
Yeah.
doing that."
Yeah. We kind of, go into this writing prompt brings this out, and this writing prompt brings this out, or complete this sentence kind of thing. And then
Mhm.
the layers start peeling away. And I keep encouraging them to give us all the details, put us in that room with you.
Mm.
Yeah, tell us exactly what was going on and describe this, and how did that make you feel? Or maybe you can recount some of the conversation. And I've been in memoir classes and helping people, recount something, and they'll say, I don't remember exactly what was said. And I said, there probably isn't anybody else around that remembers exactly what was said. Just give us the gist of it.
Mm.
Help us understand what is going on. And when you get involved in what you're writing about, and when you're moved, that's when your readers will be right there with you, and you can take them along for the entire journey of the story that you want to tell them.
I love that. And my next question for you was going to be, how does a woman begin to uncover the story that they're here to share? So you want to say more about that?
Absolutely. So journaling is my secret weapon. I've been doing it since I was 11. So I know having a conversation with yourself on the page is where you start. And a lot of people say, I never have time to write, and I wouldn't know what to say anyway. So the simplest thing to do is to set aside 5 minutes every day and to show up on the page. And it's very, very important that you're doing this in longhand. I don't care what kind of paper you're using, but I do want you to show up set the timer for 5 minutes, and let your hand move across the page consistently for those 5 minutes, and ask yourself the question, what does my heart want me to know right now? If you know that you're working on a book, ask, what does my book want me to know? And then listen. You're opening up your subconscious and taking dictation. Don't think about it. Just let it go. And when you show up consistently for 5 minutes, that 5 minutes will eventually turn into longer, because I'm not done yet. I want to say, and stuff will repeat itself, which is great, because then you're getting more juice. You're getting more detail.
Starting to see a
And
pattern, maybe,
I had a
right?
conversation with one of my clients yesterday. She's like, when you gave me that write every day assignment, I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be work. I don't know if I can do this. But she said she was ready to write a book. And I said, this is how you create your content. And she said, so sometimes I dictated it, and sometimes I would type. And I said, well, you're in a different part of your brain when you're on the computer. You're already editing. So that connection from your heart to your hand onto the page is the strongest. And she said, I've been doing that for the past couple of weeks, and that really does make a difference.
Oh, wow.
I said,
And you didn't
oh,
say I
I'm so
told you
happy to
so,
hear
did
that.
you? I'm so happy to hear that. What a nice discovery you made, right? Yeah. So that's how we can start to write and see what comes up.
Absolutely.
I
That's
think
the
it sounds
first
like
thing
what
I'll say to anybody who, I kind of think someday I want to write a book. Well, first of all, someday is not a date on the calendar.
and it will never
So
come.
if you want it to happen, you kind of need to go, this time next year, I'm going to have my first draft. Do something, and then start showing up in your journal.
So that's how we can get started with writing, or a woman who has never written, especially, but anyone who wants to uncover what's next. What is the best time to do it?
Anytime you're going to show up consistently.
Okay. Do we
But
need?
you're going to put your butt in the chair and set the timer.
But the most important thing, it sounds like here, is that you write it out there.
Absolutely. Some
Yeah.
people, they're morning people, and they get up the first thing and they make their tea or their coffee, and they go sit in whatever nest that they're comfortable in, and the words flow. Some people are night owls, and like the last thing I do at night, I just do a brain dump. And it's not, here's my laundry list for tomorrow. It's really unleashing the words that are waiting for you to know them.
Mhm. So do you go back and look, because I've read over the years that when we do these, like these brain dumps, if you will, or these morning, or even like Julia Cameron's morning pages,
Morning pages.
do you, I've read that we should just like put them somewhere, don't go back and reference them, but it sounds like that if we actually want to create something from that, we should go back and look at it. and see if
There
there's
are
a pattern or
different
something.
camps about that, and there are different reasons why you're keeping this journal. I mean, if it's a therapeutic, I want to just be done with this, then maybe you rip it up or that's the one that you burn.
Okay.
What I don't consistently go back and read things, but I do keep my journals, and everything I've done personally and professionally started in my journal, the snippets and kind of thing. And I have a whole section that I keep. Oh, that'd be a great blog. I love that. I love that quote. Oh, that song that's playing. Yeah, that lyric. Yeah, that'd be a great. So I create my own writing prompts, and so they showed up in various ways. Everything that's in The Secret Artist started in my journal. Well, while I was, going through the first and second breast cancer diagnosis, the first one, it was, let's get back to life immediately, create. And then the second time is like, well, there's a new normal that we have to create here. And what's the message for me, and what's the message for the greater position that I'm supposed to be doing in this world. And it was very clear that I had to get my stories out of my journals and into print, so that so this is The Secret Artist is a series of essays, and at the end of every essay there are writing prompts to encourage you to start writing your story in whatever format you want.
So are you saying it wasn't until the second breast cancer that you kind of knew that that's why you were doing this,
Yeah. Yes.
So a woman doesn't have to be clear that she's going to write a
no.
book. She just needs to pull out that
no,
journal.
because
Right.
what I truly think my journal is my friend, and it's having a conversation with her to help me figure out what I think. And so you may never have, I'm going to be on the bestseller list someday. And it's like, well, here you come around to the idea, yeah, I want something in print so that somebody can hold me in their hand, and the words that I have to encourage you to be who you are designed to be.
I'm very curious about your journals that you've been doing since you were 11. Where are they all stored? And do you go back and have you gone back to actually see? I think it would be amazing to have those diaries. I guess I just threw them away, to know what 10-year-old Ginny was thinking. I think that must be magnificent to know what 11-year-old Mary was thinking and writing about what was important to
Copying
her.
down poems that I liked, who was cute on TV, and
it's your history.
I want to be a writer when I
yeah.
and go around the
all
world.
of those, right?
So I have a huge trunk that Hercules wouldn't be able to lift.
Do you ever think about what will happen to them when you're no longer around?
Sometimes. I mean, probably the next time we move, my husband will say, how long do we have to keep these?
I was watching something, I don't remember where it was, but somebody was talking about, or she was wondering if there's anything in those journals that she really wouldn't want her son to read after she was gone. I'm like, you're gone. I mean, really, is it, as long as you weren't a serial killer, it probably won't be, terrible things, not the same things you would be embarrassed by if he was reading it in front of you, possibly, but yeah.
Yeah, it will change your relationship. Well, maybe for a little while, but
well, if you're gone,
realization that You are a real human being and not just
Exactly.
the stereotype mom.
Mhm. It could be really a real eye opener in a good way, I think, for someone.
Yes, yes.
So, well, I want to know how our viewers can learn more about your work.
My website is yourwritingmentor.com. For those of you who want to get started and you don't know what you want to do first, that my free gift is 3 steps to new author success.com/freebie, and you will get that little PDF that gives you those writing prompts that I've been talking
Oh,
about.
nice. Yeah.
And I am the compiler of an anthology. So multiple women tell their transformational stories, and they some of them have businesses and some of them don't. They were compelled to talk about something that was really laid on their heart, that it was time that the world knew about this and how it changed them and the wisdom that they learned from it. And I also have a women's writing retreat that's here on the California coast. And I love gathering women in a small group to just hone in on what they're longing to write. Maybe something that has been waiting that's brand new. And we have a private chef. So it's a way for you to really retreat from the world and hone in on the story that you are designed to share, and with support.
And so that information is also on your website?
It's all on the website. It's the Elite Women's Writing Retreat, the Written in Her Own Words co-author book, Become an Author. And I have I'm happy to have a 15-minute conversation to see if, working with me would work.
Mhm. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for what you do, for your work, for your commitment to women. And you got through this whole interview without getting emotional.
Isn't that, that's one of my things. It's
But I
tears,
love that
and I love
too.
speaking about writing, and
Oh.
it's like, but someone was asking me for a description of my kind of writing and my kind of style, and I said, well, I grew up loving Irma Bombeck and Barbara Walters.
Mm.
And Irma, you laughed, had grace, and Barbara, sometimes she made people cry. I said, when that person is crying, I'm usually crying with them.
Yeah. And sometimes she really made people angry. Barbara was a brave interviewer.
Yeah. But she had a purpose, and my questions always have a purpose because they're not my questions. They're what the universe wants to know from you, and I'm just the voice.
Well, that's a lovely way to end, but I do want to ask, is there another piece of, or just a final thought that you want to leave our viewers with?
Absolutely. I want everyone to know that your story matters,
Mm.
and no one can tell your story from your perspective except you, and someone is waiting to hear your story. They need it.
Someone is waiting to hear your story, and it makes it kind of a selfish act if we hold our stories in, doesn't it?
Well,
It's just thinking if we're going to be all that, we're going to put, I can't put my word out there. I'm not all that. Well, it's kind of selfish.
Yes, you are, because
selfish,
you're
right?
the only one who can do it.
Exactly. And you could change someone's life. You could change someone's life. So let go of that fear and do it. And I think you're an excellent person to do it with, Mary. So thank you so much for being with
Thanks,
me.
Ginny.
And I want to thank anybody who's watching this, whether you're watching the Facebook Live right now or our YouTube channel. If you want to share this interview with your friends, it will be up on our YouTube channel in probably about 24 hours. So go on over to the On Purpose Woman Global Community on YouTube. Please subscribe and sign up for notifications. Right now, there are over 200 inspiring, informative, and fun shows for you to watch on our channel. You can also check videos of the speakers at our On Purpose Woman Global Community Zoom gatherings, as well as interviews that I've been doing with the contributing authors of On Purpose Woman magazine. We have one more show this month, and that's Monday, July 31st. I'll talk with Vibrant speaker coach Manifesting Clients mentor and summit host Catherine Yarborough about how women can step up and speak up. So it's a nice addition to what Mary's talking about. Mary talks about how women can sit down and write, and Catherine wants women to step up and speak up. So both ways of expressing ourselves and getting our stories out there. You can always find out what's going on with the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show by going to opwgc.com and clicking on Purpose Woman magazine. That website URL is also in the text of this video. Thank you again for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show.